How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Lamed, Daf 30 of Masechta Nazir, friends. Today we wrap up the fourth parak of Masechta Nazir. We're like almost halfway through the Masechta. Alright, soon. Another few days. Okay. Today we have like a funny Mishnah which has like a completely different girsa. It talks about the father being like a Nazir and then dying and like leaving inheritance for the son and stuff. So that's actually let's get started. We're on Daf Lamed Amud Aleph at the Mishnah in the middle of the Amud. I'm actually going to read the Mishnah with the art scroll here. I'll do my own translations, but it's like a completely different girsa. So it says the Mishnah. Okay, so a fellow can be Migaleach, can bring korbanos based on the Nazirus of his father. But a woman does not bring korbanos from her father's Nazirus. Ketzad, what are we talking about? So if you have a fellow who together with his father is a Nazir, it's a family thing. The father's a Nazir, the son's a Nazir. And the father had set aside unspecified funds to pay for his korbanos, for his own korbanos, and then the father died. Amr Biosi says, so these unspecified funds cannot be used by the son. They go linedava for the kaitz mizbeach korbanos. Ein ze megalech al nazirus aviv, and as we just said, the son cannot use his father's funds for his own korbanos. They go to the kaitz mizbeach, assuming that they're unspecified. Eizush megalech al nazirus aviv, and so then who is able to use his father's funds for his korbanos at the end of his Nazirus? Mishaya Aviv Nazir, well, if his father was a Nazir, Fifish Aviv Maus assumed the Naziruso Vames, and his father as a Nazir had set aside unspecified funds to be used for his own korbanos when his Nazirus is over, but he died. And then the son says, you know what? I'm going to carry on my father's efforts, and I'm going to become a Nazir myself, and I'm going to use these funds under the condition amanas, under the condition that I'm going to use these funds to pay for my korbanos. Use the funds that my father had set aside. I'm going to use them for my korbanos at the end of my nazirus. So in this case, the son can use the father's funds to pay for his own korbanos at the end of his nazirus. Okay. Now says the Gemara. My timer. So how come the son is able to use the funds of the father for his own korbanos if generally we say that you can't use your father's korbanos? So when it comes to Nazir, that the son would be able to use his father's funds for his own korbanos. Pshita. Now we had said in the Mishnah that only the son can use the father's funds, but not the daughter. If she says that she's going to be Nazira under the condition that she uses the father's funds for her korbanos, no, it doesn't work. Pshita, of course. My lemema, the ben Yorish is aviv bas lo. I don't understand. We know the son would inherit the money, the daughter wouldn't. So the son can inherit the money and use it for his own korbanos. The daughter won't be inheriting that money. Therefore, of course, she can't use it for her korbanos. Lo tzricha deleis lei ela bas. We say, well, if she was the only child, well, then she would inherit the father. So ma'adetema yorshin gemirin la komajmin la nalacha. So we may have thought to say, look, it's about whoever inherits it can use it for their korban. And therefore, I might think to say that if she's inheriting this money, she would be able to use it towards her korbanos. So we say no, that it's for the son, not for the daughter. Meaning the son can use the money, the daughter cannot. Ibaya lehu, they asked the kasha. Pligi rabbanon ole de Rabbi Yossi, oh lo plige. Now, do the rabbis argue on Rabbi Yossi? Right. So Rabbi Yossi had said that. Let's say this. We had seen Rabbi Yossi's opinion in the Mishnah, right? Rabbi Yossi had said there were two parts of the Mishnah, right? There was one which was that if the father and son were Nazirs at the same time, so then the father had set aside money, so the money will go linedava. The son cannot use it. We said that's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. We had also said in the Sefer that if the father alone was a Nazir and then died, and then the son said he's going to be a Nazir under the condition that he can use that he uses the money for the korbanos, so then he can use the money for the korbanos. So they want to know, do the rabbis argue on Rabbi Yossi? If you say that they do argue on Rabbi Yossi, Aresha or Aseifa, do they argue on the Resha of the Mishnah, where Rabbi Yossi had said that the son cannot use the money when he and the father were a Nazir at the same time? Do they argue and say yes, he can use the money? Yes, he can use the money. So do they only argue on that? Or what about the Seif of the Mishnah, where it says that if first the father was a Nazir and then the son says that he's going to be a Nazir under the condition that he uses his late father's money, so that's acceptable? Do the rabbis argue on that and say that he cannot? So Tashma coming here. How do they say that a son can use his father's money for his own korbanos, for a Nazir? Mishahaya Aviv Nazir. Well, if his father was a Nazir, and his father had set aside money for his korbanos, and then he had died, and then the son says, well, I'm going to be a Nazir under the condition that I use my father's money for my korbanos. So that's allowed. But if he and his father were both Nazirs, and his father had set aside money for his own Nazir's korbanos, and then the father died, then they have to go linedava to the kites of Mizbeach. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda Amru, that he would be able to be migaleach al mos aviv. That in the case where both the father and the son were Nazirs, Rabbi Yossi had said that the money goes the kites of Mizbeach, that the son cannot use the money. And the rabbis, Rabbi Lazar, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Meir, they argue on Rabbi Yossi, and they say that in that case, when they're both Nazirs, the son would be able to use the money. So we see that yes, the rabbis argue on Rabbi Yossi, but only on the Resha of the Mishnah, only on, meaning the Seif of the Brisa, but the Resha of the Mishnah, which is that that when they're both Nazirs, the father and the son are both Nazirs at the same time, the rabbis would say that the son would be able to use the money for his own korbanos. Bari Rabbis. Now we have a bunch of teku kashas, which will take us, the tekus will take us till the end of the Perik. Bari Rabbi asks Akashi, Yeshlo Shnei Bonim Nazirim. What if he has two sons who are Nazirs? So how does that work in terms of, right? So if the father was a Nazir and the father died, now he has two sons, and both sons say that they're going to be Nazirs under the condition that they're going to use the father's money. So how does that work? Do we say, look, it's halacha Moshe Misina? There's no rules here. It doesn't work like inheritance where they'll split 50-50. It's a separate halacha Moshe Misina that the son can use the father's money. Whoever gets it first gets it. Or maybe it's inheritance and they split it in half. Question number 1. By Rav asked Akasha, what if there were two sons? One is the Bechor and one is not a Bechor. So Hilchasa Gemirin La Vilkach Lo by Galuche Lifumai Deshakal. Do we say, look, it's halacha Moshe Misinai, and therefore it has nothing to do with the Bechor getting twice as much. I mean, this is a separate halacha. And do we say that, well, just like the older son would get twice as much as the other son, so the same thing would apply here by the money for the korbanos of a Nazir. And if you say that it is Yerusha with the shakil megaleach, and we say that it would be he would use for the korbanos based on what he takes. But do we say that look, only pishnayim and Yerusha only applies by chulin, but it wouldn't apply to the korbanos of Nazir? Or maybe it doesn't matter. Aviv Nazir Olam vu Nazir Stam. What if his father was a Nazir Olam and he was a regular Nazir? Aviv Nazir Stam vu Nazir Olam. What if his father was a regular 30-day Nazir experience kind of Nazir and he was a forever kind of Nazir? Right? Because we say that a Nazir Olam can get a haircut, right? Hichbid Saru Mekil Basar. Right? We said that if hair becomes too much, so he can get a haircut and he brings korbanos. So Tigmir Hilchasa Bistam Nazirus, do we say that the Halacha Moshe Misina is only when they're both regular Nazir experience kind of types? Or Dilma Loshna, or maybe it doesn't matter if they're Nazir experience types or Nazir Olams. Bimtim Saloma Hacha Idi Ve'idi Nazirus Tyra, and if you want to say Bimtim Saloma Hacha Idi Ve'idi Nazirus Tyra, and if you want to say that I think the point is if it doesn't matter, it's just a regular Nazir. So by Rav Asher Aviv Nazir Tami Vu Nazir Torah Aviv Nazir Torah Vu Nazir Tami Mai, take it. What if his father was Tame and he was Torah? What if he was Torah? What if his father was Torah? He was Tame. Okay, in all these cases we say Chveisnis Hadran Olach Mi She Omar. Okay, fine. Well, that was Daf Lamed of Masechta Nazir. So today we talked about in what situation the son can use the money of his father towards his own Nazirus Korbanis. So we saw the Mishnah that according to Rabbi Yossi, if the father and son were both Nazirs, and then the father died, the son cannot use that money towards his korbanis. He would have to go to the Kaitz Mizbech. We saw in the Gemara that the rabbis, however, argue and say that the son would be able to use that money for his korbanis. And the Mishnah had said that if the father was a Nazir and died, and then the son says he's going to be a Nazir under the condition that he uses the money for his own korbanis, that would be acceptable according to Rabbi Yossi. Friends, that was Daf Lamed. That was Daf the fourth parak of Masechta Nazir. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out. Bye.